Today we're going to be talking about The Good Place, The Orville, American Vandal, and a quick Emmy recap, so stay tuned. Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. And this is our Tube Talk episode, right, Matt?
It totally is, Joel.
It's totally our Tube Talk episode. This is where we review and talk about some of the latest television shows, some of the things that are happening on television, new shows, new episodes, and things that we've had a chance to watch, as well as one of the things we're going to be discussing today, the Emmys.
Emmys, yeah.
That just happened.
And Emmy music.
Emmy, I don't know. What is the Emmy music?
I don't know.
Did I tell you?
No.
I need to tell you. I remembered what it was that I forgot to talk about with
Mother.
Mother. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It's the polarization of the audience. I'm going
okay.
to talk about that because reviewers and critics,
like the polarized caps.
And yes.
Okay.
Like normal viewers and critics are like polar opposites, right, of the review scale. And I was just going to talk about how I felt like a lot of that was to do with the fact that the language of cinema is one of those things that the whole reviewership and the critical world, they hold so highly.
Oh.
And they're so big and important on.
Yeah.
Here I am talking about movies during our Tube Talk and about they think it's highly and I'm doing this. And, us as viewers, a lot of times we just watch a film and experience it on a more emotional level.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a huge part of the divide. So, yeah, that's it.
North Pole, South Pole.
Exactly.
What's up?
So, anyway, let's move into some Tube Talk.
Totally.
How about that? So, we are first going to go into just a really quick recap of one of the biggest, most major, awesome, maybe events.
Maybe. I don't know about most major, awesome.
Yeah. I was building to something and it just kind of flattened out because it's not really that big a deal.
It's all good.
These days. But it's the Emmys.
It's the Emmys, you
and
guys.
It's a big deal to a small crowd.
The annual, exactly. It's the annual event where people, famous people get to hang out together and drink champagne and talk about who.
You know what actually brings
how great they are.
Some of the glamour, I think, back to the night is if they just they stopped broadcasting it, because then it would become like a select thing where it's you really want to know what happens there, but you weren't there to see it.
And they all signed NDAs so nobody can talk about anything.
Exactly. That'll never happen.
I know.
It's just too much of a money thing, but but yeah.
But just a couple of things. Hosted by Stephen Colbert.
Yes.
And I generally like him.
At his Colbertiest. I liked him better on the Colbert Show.
He is a giant...
he was more of a caricature then, though. So.
He's a giant Star Wars fan.
Yes.
I like
and
that.
Lord of the Rings.
And Lord of the Rings. I did see
that. He has an encyclopedic knowledge of Lord of the Rings.
His episode where he actually had the CG'd version of Smaug for The Hobbit when it came out was pretty cool.
I didn't see that
Smaug came busted his head through the ceiling. It was pretty cool.
I never got a chance to watch too much of either shows of the Colbert Report, this one. But
usually when I watch it,
most of Colbert Report is clips.
Quick confession, usually when I watch it, it's the clips that are, brought to you in part by Hulu.
Exactly, yeah. It's the short little bits. The most that I watch right now of late night television is usually YouTube clips of Jimmy Fallon and his late night games, because he has the best celebrity crazy games.
It's so good.
You know what I mean? Like the puppy quiz.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, he started a television show doing the lip sync battles.
Yeah.
And it created a whole television show spinoff. It's
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just a couple of highlights. So Outstanding Comedy Series, Veep won, which isn't really too out of the norm. They're kind of always on the radar when it comes to Emmys.
And Julia Louis-Dreyfus has won a ton of awards for that role, and the show has won a ton of awards.
She actually won for Outstanding Actor in a Drama Series.
Yeah.
And that, I think, I was reading this, she is the first person... She broke the record for the longest running winner of a consecutive character, or of the same character consecutively. Anyway, so that's pretty cool. Cool to see that for her. But Outstanding Drama Series, The Handmaid's Tale, they actually took a lot of awards home yesterday.
Which is crazy because that's Hulu. And Hulu, for the first time, has started winning some awards, which is
finally, because Netflix has kind of really been the pioneer as far as that's concerned, and then Hulu's finally getting some stuff, because even Amazon Prime is winning, Academy Awards.
So for me, it was Netflix was really good shows.
Yeah.
Stranger Things, House of Cards. Amazon was really good films.
Right.
You know what I mean? Manchester by the Sea.
Right.
And then Hulu was I make stuff.
Exactly.
They don't do anything. They
I
just
make things too.
I make things. Watch my things that I make. And nobody really watches it.
By the way, if somebody wants to give me your Hulu username and password, let me know. Okay, next, moving right along. Outstanding limited series, Big Little Lies. Have yet to check that out, actually. Heard some good things about that.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check that out.
Yeah.
I've gotten it suggested to me by a couple folks.
Okay, so this one's interesting. Outstanding TV movie is one of the entries of the Black Mirror series.
Right.
San Junipero.
Junipero.
Anyways, Black Mirror is just so off the wall. It's so intriguing. I'm really excited. The next season comes out. Well, they haven't released a release date, but the trailer came out.
The frustrating thing about specifically that episode is that I love the episode by itself. As like a standalone short film type thing.
Right.
I think it's amazing, but I don't like it as a Black Mirror episode because I don't really feel like it really embraces like the heart and the twisted mindset that a lot of Black Mirror is kind of known for in my mind. But again, I love the episode. I understand why it won.
Yeah.
I would just kind of wish it was like something else, San Junipero.
Yep.
So, but yeah.
And then also we have Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, Kate McKinnon. Lead actor Donald Glover won for Atlanta.
Yep.
Which is cool. He's awesome. I love Donald Glover. You're always going to be my Troy, dude. And then Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series, Alec Baldwin. Saturday Night Live actually took a lot home as well. Elizabeth Moss, she won for her The Handmaid's Tale.
Yes.
Which I haven't checked out.
Me neither.
That's, Hulu's, prize fighter right now, I guess.
Yeah. It's based on a book series, I believe, written by a Canadian author.
Yeah. And also Sterling K. Brown won for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series for This Is Us.
Okay.
And he is great. Honestly, I haven't seen a lot of him. This Is Us is the first time that I remember seeing him.
Yeah.
And he's really, really good. He's got some dramatic chops and some comedy chops too. It's pretty.
It's probably a big win for him then.
Yeah, it was awesome. John Lithgow won for The Crown, which is interesting.
I actually did watch a bit of The Crown, and I understand that though. I mean, he did a great job with that character. It still seems a little John Lithgow-y, but definitely can see him being outside of his.
Well, we're going to get
comfort.
Another iteration of Churchill here soon with
That standalone
Gary
film.
Oldman.
Yeah. I do think Lithgow probably has it beat.
So here's the thing.
They should have done a standalone version with Lithgow.
Right.
But he probably couldn't do it because they were filming the show.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
The most expensive show in history or something like that.
Yeah, it was weird to me. I watched the first episode and I get it because of the costume design and the production design in particular.
Those period pieces, man, they gotta it's craziness.
There's nothing about it in and of itself that I'm like, that demands to cost millions of dollars.
Riz Ahmed for The Night Of, limited series movie. Nicole Kidman, Big Little Lies. Big Little Lies took a lot home as well.
They did, yep.
Laura Dern, Alexander Skarsgård. Hey, how is he related to
They're
Pennywise? They're brothers?
I'm just kidding. No, they're not.
They're not related?
No, they might be.
Yeah, Alex and
I can look it up real quick if you want.
Bill. It's Bill Skarsgård, right?
It's the Skarsgård brothers.
Yeah. Anyways, you can look that up. So that's really it. The voice one, those kinds of, everything else is not as crazy. Actually, Donald Glover won for directing in a comedy series also.
So there's Stellan Skarsgård, which a lot of people know.
Yeah.
He's an actor. He's a Swedish actor. He's been in a bunch of different stuff.
He's the creepy guy, right?
Yeah. Hunt for Red October. He was in the Avengers. He was in Thor.
Magnificent Seven, was he that one?
I believe he was in Magnificent Seven too.
One of the bad guys?
Yeah, so he's done a ton of stuff. So his sons are Alexander Skarsgård, Bill Skarsgård, I believe.
Oh, I'm thinking of somebody else. Never mind. Okay.
So it's like a whole family of Skarsgårds.
Gotcha. Anyways,
taking over Hollywood.
That's really it. One thing I like about the Emmys is it usually highlights some shows that I haven't seen yet. It makes me want to go and watch them. So I'm kind of excited to check out some of these things, especially maybe The Handmaid's Tale or Big Little Lies, The Night Of as well. I've heard some good things about. So
agreed.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you, and thank you for going over.
Totally.
The winners, the Emmys.
Yeah.
So cool. We're going to move into talking about some actual shows now that we've seen, I should say. And we've seen some of those Emmy stuff, but we're going to talk about ones we've seen recently.
Right.
And we want to talk about. First of which is a little show that you picked up and kind of suggested for us to check out, which is called The Good Place.
Yes.
And we're talking about this because I finished the first season.
Right.
And Matt, you unfortunately have not a chance to yet.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, though, just in case. If you haven't seen it, if you're trying to check it out, there's going to be minor spoilers.
Yes. So a reminder, synopsis for this is an Arizona woman enters the afterlife and tries to become a better person and make amends for past bad behaviors in this comedy.
That's right. I forgot she's from Phoenix.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's really
right.
cool because there's constantly moments where she's like talking about ASU and Tempe and things like that. I'm like, hey,
That's awesome.
I'm wondering if it's actually an Arizona writer. I don't know. I need to check that out. I actually haven't had a chance to look at the writers yet. But Kristen Bell as Eleanor, Ted Danson as Michael, William Jackson Harper as Chris, Jamila Jamil as Tessa, Manny Jacinto as Jason, who I love. Think he's a great one in the show, especially after the first season. And DRC Carden as Janet, as many people will just remember her forever as, because she is as well, I think, my favorite character, one of my favorite characters. It's like, when you have two favorites and it doesn't matter if one's not there because your other favorite is there. And so you have like two favorites.
Is Janet the Suri?
Yeah, Janet is a Siri. And she is like amazing in that role.
That's right. That's right.
I don't even know if it's as much. Her acting is great because you really can tell that she just fully embraces.
Right.
And there is a kind of a twist that happens about maybe halfway through the season where you're introduced to sort of like an alternate ego version of Janet.
Okay.
And she is amazing in that role.
Okay.
And so you can tell that like this girl's like really got a lot of good stuff going on.
That's cool.
With her acting abilities. But Janet is so perfect because she plays this like perky, like friendly, like, oh yeah. And sometimes she says like the most off the wall type stuff, but in the most normal, friendly, uplifting way. And then some things happen to her over the course of the show that just make her really funny. And she has some of the best, I think, one-liners over the course of the show and her interactions. And I think, I don't want to spoil things too much for you, Matt, unfortunately.
You know what? It's okay. It's a price I pay for not finding time to make it happen.
So let's just say love blossoms in Janet's life.
Love is in the air.
With one of the characters. And it's probably who you would and would not assume it is at the same time. And it makes for one of like the most awkward but funny relationships I've seen in television for a very long time because she's a computer system.
That's awesome.
But the person that's in love with her is a complete moron, like literally a complete idiot, forgets the most obvious things. And so it's just this really funny relationship dynamic where she's kind of an idiot because she's a computer program and she doesn't understand like humans. And he's an idiot because he's just an idiot. And so it just makes for a really cute, funny, sweet in a way relationship between the two. I think one of the characters that kind of grew on me for sure, and a little bit was William Jackson Harper's character, Chris. I think William Jackson Harper's Chris character and Jamila Jamil's Tessa, both of those characters are kind of like the lower end of what I kind of liked. They're more side characters anyways to the story, but they are in a sense sort of setting him up as potentially a love interest for Kristen Bell's character, Eleanor. Eleanor continues to be hilarious.
Really?
Not necessarily because of everything that she says or she does. Like her character is definitely going through a bit of a story arc, but because of the flashbacks that sort of occur and her connection to her past. That is really the thing that has been so funny with her character, is to see kind of where she was and the things that she did. And that continues to be, I think, a treat, is whenever they like do a flashback or like to like a different time.
Yeah.
Really enjoy that.
That's awesome.
Really
I enjoyed that too. Like,
yeah.
To see, I mean, that first episode, just to see how crass she was when going back and just like the 15-second scene that it was,
Yeah, and one of the things they do, one of the things I'll say is that they must have a really, really good writing staff because they're able to consistently progress the plot and set things up for each episode in such an interesting way, especially at the very end. Like if you're watching it, there's kind of like this last little twist that'll usually happen within like the last 15 or 20 seconds of an episode.
I gotcha.
And they continue to do that each time. And the little twists make sense by the end of the season. And there's kind of, I feel like there was a deeper reason for including these like smaller little twists because there's like a really big one that sort of happens closer to the end of the season. And you're just like, what? When that happens, it's just like kind of, so there's been a lot of good things. I think the show grows, the characters are, the people that are acting the characters are growing into their roles better, and the characters are taking on a better life and a better
I really like that
layer.
I really like that it's
layers.
a quick watch too, and I'm going to watch the rest of it. There's only like 12 more episodes I gotta watch, so I mean they're only 26 minutes long, 24 minutes long, whatever they are, but no, I'm really excited. I'm gonna watch this one.
Yeah, and at the end of the first season, I would definitely say go check it out. I would give the first season, it's tough, probably a B plus,
Okay.
like right around an 89, but it's like right on the cusp of like a 90. Like I want to put it in a 90 range, but there's just a couple things that I was like, well, it's a little rough because it's the first season.
Right.
So I'm hoping in the second season they've kind of fleshed out certain elements. You can tell the characters are kind of growing into their own. So I'm hoping that those are kind of like set in place. But really do love it. Really do laugh at it. One of the only shows out there right now that I can watch and just kind of laugh.
That's good.
Yeah.
You need one of those shows in life, you know?
Agreed, because that takes us to our next show
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about called The Orville,
Yeah.
which is supposed to be a comedy. So
Makes me
we'll talk
think
about that.
of Orville Redenbacher.
Yeah, and
like
there's a character.
popcorn?
There's a character that kind of looks like Orville Redenbacher that's in it. So. Yeah. So this follows the crew of the not so functional exploratory ship on Earth's interstellar fleet 400 years in the future. Bum, bum, bum. It stars Seth MacFarlane as Ed Mercer, Adrian Palicki, I want to say, as
Nailed it.
Kelly Grayson, Scott Grimes as Gordon. I don't know if I want to go through all these people.
Yeah, it's all good.
Norm Macdonald's in it, but so far he's only had like one brief little kind of moment.
He's
He
the
plays
same
this
in
kind of, like-
everything he's in.
yeah, he plays a character named Yaphet. He's like, I think Yaphet, and it's like this goo. It's
Okay.
like a CG character, but he only, so far he's only appeared in for like 10 seconds of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a pretty large cast of other characters that have kind of brought in to do different things.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Like, just basically, you haven't seen this. What were kind of your thoughts of just seeing the preview? What you really thought this show was going to be like?
Parody, like trying to be like Galaxy Quest was.
Right.
And
the fact that it's Seth MacFarlane would imply anything? to you?
well, very kind of what Family Guy is.
Yes.
You know, and how they parody everything.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what my thoughts were. Is it anything like that?
No, not at all.
Oh,
So, well, yes and no. This is the main thing that a lot of critics are complaining about with the show, and a lot of people are saying it's kind of trying to be a little bit too much of both. Both in the sense of a satire of Star Trek type shows, or Star Trek in particular, and an actual Star Trek show. I think the total. I mean, so I'm going to spoil stuff. So, like the first episode of the show starts with Seth MacFarlane's character walking in on his wife cheating on him.
Okay.
And you think that like that would be played for laughs, and there's kind of like a little bit of like something that may be a little bit funny, but it's really played pretty seriously, dramatically, that his wife has just cheated on him and he's like, I'm done with this relationship.
Yeah.
And that kind of sets into course of motion where over the course of a number of years, he kind of wants to get in the ship. He's one of those guys that's constantly working, and he's been working really hard, but you can tell the breakup with his wife did a number on him, and he suffered, but then he ends up getting captain of a ship that he's in charge of, and his wife, through whatever means, ends up becoming his first mate. So it's sort of in command, his second in command for the ship. And so that's supposed to be like the scenario. And that so far really though has pretty much been the only kind of twist on the standard story. Yeah, it's like every single character is a caricature of a Star Trek character, except that it's not really played for laughs. It's really literally like, no, I'm just a slightly similar version of a Star Trek character.
Right.
And they don't really do anything for the most part to make a joke out of it, to make it silly, to satire it, to
They're playing it too
make it silly.
serious.
They're playing it very serious.
Oh,
There's
weird.
a lot of dramatic moments. There's a lot of, there's action sequences where they get in like gunfights with people. There's, serious arguments that people get into and feelings of not being good enough and dramatic tension. And then they'll have this moment where it's like, you can tell it's supposed to be funny,
Right.
but it's really not that funny. It's just kind of like, meh,
Weird.
chuckler. Yeah. So I don't really know what to make of it
That's
at the
odd.
moment. I don't know if it's Seth MacFarlane is still trying to like figure out what he wants to make the show.
It's an hour-long format, right?
Yeah, it's like
See,
44 minutes.
In
with
my mind,
commercials.
I feel like something
Without
like this would be
commercials.
better suited as like a half-hour show. A 24, 25, 26-minute runtime.
Agreed. And Seth MacFarlane, because I read a couple interviews from him talking about the show, and two things. One, he said that he is a passionate fan of Star Trek, and he's always wanted to make a show like this.
Okay.
So I think he actually is really a big nerd kind of geek guy for Star Trek.
Okay.
And so I think, one, he's treating it with a bit like kid gloves, because he is such a huge fan of the series.
Oh, so he's like showing reverence.
Exactly.
Okay,
and he's like
gotcha.
trying to literally. It's like he wanted to actually get hired to make a Star Trek show, but knew that he had to include some comedy. But he wants to keep it more like Star Trek.
Right.
So,
Wow.
but he's not a strong enough writer to really make it scientific, like sciencey enough. Like Star Trek.
Yeah.
So anyway, like the first episode, they're talking. This scientist lady invents a shrinking ray, and it shrink, and they use a banana on it, and like that's the whole idea is that they have a shrink ray. I mean, that's like basic, childhood. Like, if a kid was
Right.
going to invent a science fiction story, it'd be like, this guy invents a shrink ray, and they shrink bananas and stuff. So, yeah. So
it just
he's
makes
not,
me think of the trailer that came out for Downsizing.
right. So I think that's a huge part of it. But then, like, to mention what you said about the hour-long runtime thing.
Yeah.
He's actually said in interviews that because it's an hour long, he really feels like he can't just make it an ongoing series of setup punchline jokes. He has to draw out a story to actually make it, feel like it's interesting. But I feel like there's a difference between setup punchline, jokes happening too often and literally just making a Star Trek story
Yeah.
show. So I don't know.
That's weird.
I was interested because in a weird way, I really like Galaxy Quest.
Oh, Galaxy Quest is great. Yeah.
It's kind of like a cult classic, if you will.
Yeah.
It's a very tongue-in-cheek, silly, I don't know. It's one of those ones you hate to love, but love to hate sort
I
of
know.
thing.
I just love it. It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, and I was
to me.
thinking like that, but with a Seth MacFarlane-esque style of humor.
Yeah.
But so far, it's been very disappointing.
That's a bummer.
So-
What would you rate the first episode or 2 episodes?
I'd probably give them D+.
Oh yeah,
D
that's
plus.
like mother level right there. Mother.
Mother! Yeah, it's getting there. I'm hoping maybe he'll make some changes to some overall format stuff. So,
I gotcha.
yeah. So that's going to cover it for the Orville. The last one we're going to talk about is a new Netflix show that, again, I had a chance to check out, but Matt, you have not.
I have not, but I know, dude. I don't know where you get this time. I don't know. Maybe it's just
I do it between stuff. I wake up when I'm sleeping and watch shows, and I go back to sleep.
Yeah,
So,
apparently,
yeah.
like you do it for a living, huh?
I do it for a living. I'm committed to the podcast. Not that you're not.
Yeah.
You've got kids, you've got family. I don't have these things, Matt. So
You have family.
I have family, but not
You have
like
family that peer pressures you to go see it.
right. My family encourages me to see things. Your
Yeah.
family requires much attention outside. This isn't a judgment thing.
It's all good.
Yeah. So, American Vandal. It's a new Netflix original show. The synopsis for this one is a true crime satire that explores the aftermath of a costly high school prank that left 27 faculty cars vandalized with phallic images.
And this, just to throw this in there real quick, this to me, since I haven't seen it, just my perspective,
Yeah.
looks like somebody had a really good idea to make this like the epicenter of this series after watching Making a Murderer. They're like, it'd be so funny.
Yeah.
But they actually like took their time to like make something like high quality. you know?
Absolutely. So that's one of the first things that really jumped out at me is that this is, although in the narrative of the story, this is being filmed by a kid that's in high school that
Right.
wanted to do this documentary about this kid named Peter. It's acted by a guy named Tyler Alvarez. Peter gets accused of vandalizing these cars, drawing the phallic imagery, and then is expelled from school. And so in the narrative of the story, Peter, as well as a number of other kids, 9 kids, are on this team of AV people. So they do the news and they work on the AV team at the school. And so he had access to cameras and stuff. So he wanted to do a documentary about Peter. And the first thing I noticed was like, this is amazingly well like shot. You
Yeah.
know, it really feels like a Making the Murderer-esque
Yeah.
style show, and it's so well put together that really does aid very strongly and heavily into the satire of it and the humor of it,
Yeah.
because they're talking about these subject matters that are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, and the way that they're explaining it and showing it and going into detail with the interviews, and it makes it so much more humorous to me. And this is the kind of humor that I enjoy so much is when you can satire something really well.
Yeah.
And so I've only watched the first episode, and so I don't want to spend too much time talking
Sure.
about
That's
it.
totally fine. Yeah.
But as of the first episode, they've already set up some really just kind of funny stylistic stuff, and I'm really looking forward. And it's funny because, if you watch a show and you think like, if I was going to make a show like this, how would I go about doing that? And the people that have made the show, they've just nailed whatever format
Yeah.
that is for making this type of documentary
Yeah.
show where it's like you think, how could you keep me interested about a topic that's this stupid?
Yeah.
But they know the formula so well. It's like they're
Yeah.
able to make it interesting,
Right.
even though it's such a dumb thing. And the characters are hilarious. I mean, Peter, the character that he is in Tyler Alvarez's character, he plays such a doofusy kind of
Yeah.
like, whatever, bro, like, yeah, but like it fits in so perfectly in the show, and the whole cast of characters I'm looking forward to like getting more introduced to and finding things out about. So yeah, so I didn't really want to talk too much about that again.
Yeah, it's okay.
I will say it is it's a TV MA type
Yeah.
show. It deals with some very graphic language,
Yeah.
some somewhat graphic images. I don't know if they're going to get more so in some later episodes. I can definitely see them doing that. I
Yeah.
mean, this reminds me of the other show we talked briefly about, which is Documentary Now,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
which is a more satire of documentaries in general. Like they go into specific types of documentaries and do satires of each of them. This one is a specific satire of those like Making a Murderer type
Gotcha.
documentaries. So yeah, so I enjoy it. I think it's pretty funny. Go ahead and check it out if you want. But again, approach as a TV MA type production.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Cool.
Well, that's pretty much it. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Matt?
Nah, that's it.
All right. Well, let's give our listeners some ways to get connected. Do you want to do that?
Yeah,
at
let's
the end?
totally rock that.
'Cause I've
So,
talked a lot.
social media, guys. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Real Review Media. Website, realreviewmedia.com. Email address, realreviewmedia@gmail.com. Connect with us. Let us know what's up. What's going on in your world. Have you seen these shows that we're talking about? If so, then tell us all about them. If not, tell me if you are excited to watch these shows or something like that. But yeah, or if you've seen some other things. Really, where fall TV doesn't kick into high gear for another week or two,
Yeah.
actually.
We're going to be inundated. We're going to have our hands so full with trying to watch all these shows.
It's going to be crazy. But we do it for you guys because we love you guys.
Joel does it for...
Nope. I do it too.
Fair enough.
Just I don't have that kind of time.
Just giving you time.
But anyways, no, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, I guess then it's been real.
It's been real.